Gospel Teaching Health Cooking class. My name is Joy Hope, and I'm with the company Joy Free Cooking. It's my own company, and so I'm putting on the cooking class today at Just For You Vegan. So we're going to get started with our recipe. Our recipe today is called Chessy Potatoes. I'm really excited. It's a family favorite recipe, and so I'm going to get started with it now. But before we go into our cooking, I'm just going to read our health scriptures for today. There is a handout at the back for everyone who wants to get a handout. So our health scriptures for today is 3 John verse 2. It says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." And this is a key scripture because this is God talking to us, those that He loves. He calls us His beloved. And He says, I wish that we would prosper and be in health more than anything else. And our next scripture is Exodus 23, verse 25. It says, "And ye shall serve the Lord your God, and He shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee." So here is a promise in the scripture that God will bless our food, bless our bread and our water, and He will take sicknesses or disease away from us. Isn't that a great promise? All right. So now we're going to get to cooking. Now, who here eats a plant-based diet already? Okay, great. Now, who here is planning to transition into eating a plant-based vegetarian diet? Okay, that's great. Well, hopefully we'll have all hands up by the end of this cooking class. So we're just going to get right into our meal. So we already have 8 to 10 potatoes already mashed, or not mashed, really cubed. We already boiled our potatoes, and we cut them up, we peeled them, and we cut them up. Now, the best nutrients from the potatoes is actually in the skin, but for this recipe, we actually peeled the skin. So we already have that done, and we're just going to set that there on the side. And now I'm going to get my gloves on. It's really important to always wash your hands while you're in the kitchen and to be clean. So I'm just going to get my gloves on as we begin to start cooking. And so now, since our potatoes is already done, we're just going to be making the cheese sauce. And at the end of the presentation, I have the recipe cards for you all. So we're going to use our blender. We're using a Vitamix. A lot of people may not know what a Vitamix is. It is a high-speed blender. It's not just any blender from Walmart or Target. It's a really, really high-speed blender, and it's really good. It can make your food hot. It can make your food cold. You can make ice cream, soups, a lot of great things. It's a very great investment. So we're going to use our Vitamix, and we're going to start putting all of our ingredients in here to make the cheese sauce. Now, some people maybe thought we were going to use dairy cheese to make our cheesy potatoes. No, we're not. We are not using dairy cheese. And the reason is there is a lot of unhealthy ingredients in cheese. The whole process of making cheese goes through fermentation, and anything that ferments, it means it has to die. And we don't want to eat anything that is death, or we don't want to eat anything that is going to not produce life, because we want to have life. And also, a recent article on the NBC News showed that 2 people died from eating the milk, the dairy milk, because of a certain disease that was found in cheese. So that's why we are not using dairy cheese. We are making our homemade cheese. And this recipe is going to be made from our carrots and potatoes. Now, we already boiled our carrots and our potatoes, and now we're going to put this in our blender. I'm just going to use my hand. And now, we didn't want it completely mashed, but we did cut it, and we boiled that. And so now we're going to put that in our blender. There's different ingredients you can use to make your homemade cheese. Sometimes we use pimentos or peppers, but this time we're using carrots and potatoes. And the carrots is really not for the flavor, it's really for nutrients and also for the color of the cheese, the orange color that we want. And the potatoes is there to give a good creamy texture in our cheese. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add in our seasonings. A lot of times if you have your different ingredients, you read in the back and there's so many different things that you don't know what's in there. You're like, what is this? What is that? So this is, it's great to make your own homemade things because you know exactly what you're putting into your food. So we're only using 3 ingredients. We're using onion powder, we're using garlic salt, and then we're using nutritional yeast flakes. Now I love nutritional yeast flakes. This is such a great creamy cheese-like ingredient. Anytime you put this in an ingredient, you have that nice cheesy consistency and taste as well. So we're using a 1/2 cup of our nutritional yeast. I'm just going to measure that in there. And we're going to put that inside our Vitamix blender. There we go. And now we're going to put in our onion powder. Take this off right there. And we're using a tablespoon of onion powder just for some good seasonings in there. And then we're using a 1.5 tablespoons of garlic salt. Now you could use fresh garlic. It will be a little bit strong, I would say. That's why I'm using the garlic powder. And so we're using a 1.5 tablespoons. There we go. And now we're only going to use the paprika for garnishing. So we're going to use that at the end of our recipe. Extra virgin olive oil is better to use than vegetable oil because vegetable oil is a little bit more fattening. So we want to use extra virgin olive oil. And I just have it in a fancy jar, but it's extra virgin olive oil. And so we're going to use a 1/2 cup of this. There we go. So we're using a 1/2 cup of that. Okay, and so now we're ready to blend all of our, oops, no we're not. Now next we're going to use, after you boil your potatoes and your carrots, you want to save that water because it's actually nutrients in the potato water. If you just throw it out, you're losing some of those nutrients. So you want to keep as much nutrients as you can and put that into your recipe. So we're using a cup of the potato water. Right there. So we're gaining all those nutrients still. We're actually using a 1.5 cups. So now we have lost none of the nutrients that we need and we're putting it right back into our meal instead of losing it. So now that we have all our ingredients in, we're ready to blend. And we're going to see all of our ingredients come perfectly together. Make sure the top is secured. Okay, and now we're going to turn it on. And allow the blender to do all of the hard work. Now make it a little bit stuck, so you just want to shake your blender around a little bit. Okay, so now our cheese sauce is nice and smoothly blended together. And look, doesn't it look just like cheese?
Yes, it does.
It does. And more importantly, it tastes better. So now that our cheese is made, we're just going to push our ingredients to the side. And I want to talk about the health benefits of potatoes. At the end, like I said, you will get a handout. And so I'm just going to read this handout quickly. It says potatoes. What is a potato? A potato is a starchy plant tuber that is one of the most important food crops cooked and eaten as a vegetable. Now here are some health benefits from potatoes. Potatoes are an excellent source of vitamin C, and we need vitamin C because that helps with our body's immune system. Then it is also a good source of potassium. It is one of the best sources of potassium. And potassium helps regulate the fluids and mineral balance in and out of our cells and in doing so, it helps maintain a normal blood pressure. And we know a lot of people are having high blood pressure. So if they would just include more potatoes and have that healthy potassium, they could regulate their blood pressure. Next, potatoes is a good source of vitamin B6, and potatoes are best eaten, like we said before, with the skin on it, because most of the nutrients is found in the skin. Potatoes are excellent for the urinary tract infection as well, because they alkalize the mucous membranes to force the bacteria to be passed out in the urine. So that's why potatoes are really healthy. Now we have 2 health remedies that you can use with potatoes for a sore throat. For a sore throat, you would make a compress by placing a hot, mashed, unpeeled, boiled potato in a linen or cotton cloth and then apply it to the affected area. So that is really interesting. So we can just take a boiled potato, wrap it in a linen or cotton cloth, and place it on your sore throat for a few minutes, and it will help your sore throat. Next, we have potato helps with constipation. If you would eat an unpeeled boiled potato or drink the potato juice to soothe inflamed tissues, it will provide bulk to the stool. It will get your bowels moving. So potatoes have some good health benefits in these health remedies. Now, there are many ways to eat a potato. That's one of the reasons I love potatoes. Now, what is one way we can eat a potato?
Bake.
Bake, that's right. We can have a baked potato. We can have one of my favorite, mashed potatoes. Then we can also roast potatoes. And we can even have it fried. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people eat potatoes fried, as in, French fries or potato chips. But that is not always the most healthiest form of eating a potato. That's why in this recipe, we are baking our potatoes. We boiled it first, and then we're going to bake it. Next, it says, by taking away the extra fat and deep frying, a baked potato is exceptionally healthful to lower calorie. It's high fiber food that offers significant protection against cardiovascular disease and cancer. And cancer is one of the #1 diseases killing people today. Potatoes is an American favorite. So to get the most nutritional value from this vegetable, don't peel the skin. So those are just some health benefits of our potato. Now we're going to pour our cheese over our already baked, peeled, and chopped potatoes. Look at that. That looks so good.
Just like cheese.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Looks just like cheese. You want to cover it with cheese. That's why it is called cheesy potatoes. So we want to make sure all of our potatoes is nicely covered with the cheese. This looks really good. And you're going to bake it on 350, like I said, for 30 to 45 minutes. So if there's no questions, I will sprinkle some of the paprika now. You can do it before it goes in the oven and then a little bit afterwards. I like to put it in before because then it actually bakes into the potato dish, our cheesy potatoes. Just lightly coating it with some paprika. Okay, so this is our final product after we've let it cook. It has gotten a much more richer yellow. Thank you. So now I'm going to just pass out the tasters. Really? Okay, so is it good? Okay.